Make Solo 2 happen. Don't need it anymore, right? Solo 2 is happening. They're doing a follow. Wait, what? They're not doing it? Ron Howard said they're not doing it, but someone else said they are doing it. I don't know what's going on. Jeez, it's August. Welcome back, everybody. This is the Resistance Broadcast. I'm John. Thank you for joining us. This is our Monday show, news show. When news is quiet in Star Wars, rumors, as we always tell you, really start running rampant, and that has not stopped. But the latest one had our heads absolutely spinning because it involves something that's very near and dear to us. With me, as always, is James and Lacey. Before we get into all that stuff, I guess Brie Larson came out and said that that Star Wars movie she auditioned for was actually Rogue One. And she didn't say what role, but you got to assume it was for Jyn Erso. So I wonder what that does to that movie if Brie Larson plays Jyn Erso instead of Felicity Jones. Like, would it have been in an American accent? Would she have had to try a British accent? I wonder what that would have done to... I mean, obviously that movie went through a lot of changes in itself, but very curious to see what that would... what's your take on it? Would you have pictured her handling that role?
It's weird because when I first came across Brie Larson, I was like, oh, she's really good. And then she's kind of dropped for me. Like she, like,
oh, really?
I see another movie and I go, yeah, she wasn't really good in that one. Or she wasn't really good in that one. And so I don't know, but I don't think it would have been a bad choice. I don't know that she would have, like, given her and the surrounding of everything that was Rogue One, I still think I probably would have been like, I like this, this is good. I think Felicity Jones did a great job, but I'm pretty open to the idea that there's a lot of good actors out there and it would be different, not better or worse,
Yeah.
So I don't think it would have been terrible, but it also makes me wonder too, like, who else was on that list that they were like, well, we got this person and this person and this person. So I don't know. What do you think, Lacey?
I can't see Brie as that part because I think Felicity just became Jyn, like, through and through, that I can't see anybody else playing that role. And I know sometimes you hear of actors that, oh, I tried out for this part, or, oh, I almost made it into this movie. And I just feel like, I don't know, it's weird for me when actors say that because I feel like it's downplaying what actor got that role. Like, they're trying to say, like, oh, well, I could have been that role. And the people that love Brie are like, oh my God, that would have been amazing. But then it's like, but the movie already was amazing and she's not in it. So would she have been good? I don't know. I saw her she was great in Scott Pilgrim. She was pretty good in The Room. She was meh. And then, like, she was in that Donkey Kong movie. I didn't think she was that good in that movie. And that's like a really action-packed movie. Do
you mean Skull Island?
Yeah, that one.
Donkey Kong?
Like King Kong?
Oh, sorry, King Kong. Yeah, that one.
She was in the Donkey Kong movie.
And then he climbed to the top of the Empire State Building and threw barrels down at the Italian plumber.
You know what I meant. The big monkey movie.
Jumpman.
Yeah.
John, yeah.
Anyway.
Jumpman.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see Donkey Kong vs. Godzilla. That's going to be a good one when that comes out.
Ha ha, very funny.
Sometimes I like those stories, though. Like for La La Land, it was almost Miles Teller and Emma Watson. I'm like...
It depends on...
I like who it was, but...
I don't like when actors say they turned down a role. I think that's just a dirtbag move. Because then it's like... We see the person who got it, and you're like, the only reason you got it is because this person who's on the Graham Norton show saying that they turned down a role because they were too good for it.
I feel like Emma Watson did that. She was like, oh, well, Emma Stone got it because I turned it down.
Unless they make fun of themselves because they're like, oh, I'm shooting myself in the foot. I was invited to be, I was asked to be in the Beatles, and I turned it down, and then they became the biggest rock band in the world. It depends on what the outcome is.
I mean, it also just depends on your perspective because
Betty White was like I turned down Cats.
Will Smith famously turned down The Matrix to be in Wild Wild West, and he jokes about it.
That's what I mean.
That's
okay. That's okay. I think.
Okay, yeah. But it is weird too because it almost if you look at it through the perspective of the negative, what you were saying, does that mean that Keanu Reeves only got it because Will Smith turned it down?
Yes.
It's kind of a. I know that's so now it's kind of not okay.
Morpheus. No.
No, I thought it would. No, I think it was the Neo role.
I think it was Neo. Yeah.
I don't think so.
But
We can look into it.
yeah, it's the varying ways in that. But with Star Wars, it's interesting because there was like this bit going around with people who, I don't know if they don't like Daisy Ridley, but there were other actresses who were up
You're
for
right.
There were other actresses who were up for the role of Rey, and people are always posting like, imagine how much better the sequel trilogy would have been if she was Rey. And I'm like, no.
That's just mean. Just mean.
Daisy's amazing. So just shut your mouth. Okay.
It's a fun experiment just to yourself, though. Like, would I have enjoyed any of these movies if it was somebody else, playing?
I think
just for
Rogue
fun?
One, because it's such an isolated, in its own bubble thing. You plug a good actor in there, and that's it. There it is. We don't know Felicity Jones as, like Lacey just said, it would have been like, we only know Brie Larson as Jyn Erso. So I think it would have been.
I personally like Felicity better than Brie Larson.
Brie Jones,
God,
Felicity
my mind
Larson.
is like
Bridget Jones.
not on today.
And Donkey Kong.
All right, so
Brie Jones stars in.
we're just creating the rumors now. We're just all the rumors, but we are going to talk about some rumors that have been reported pretty heavily right now in the Resistance report. James, what is cooking?
It's the Resistance.
Well, John, off the top there, you were talking a little bit about make Solo 2 happen. So let's actually get into why we think there could be a possibility of the Solo series on Disney+. This was actually a story that came from Jeremy Conrad over at Star Wars Unity. And he has had a couple things before about, other breaks, Crimson Dawn, things like that coming to Disney+. But he thinks now that there's enough evidence of Alden Ehrenreich's position and what he's been saying recently and all this stuff that he kind of put together this argument, article, however you want to phrase it, that in fact this is all leading to the inevitable Solo pickup on Disney+. So John, let's get started with you on your opinion on this. I do know Lacey and I created Make Solo 2 happen, but you have strong feelings about it. So
you guys are unbelievable. One day you'll.
I also created Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So when I first heard it, I was obviously very excited because I know this guy's gotten stuff right in the past, and I was like, the part of me who wants it so bad was like, man, and I really started envisioning it and like thinking that we've like achieved it and all that stuff. But then people, I got a lot of messages that day, like a ton of messages from people. Some people obviously just doing
asking for me.
Some people doing the tagging, saying like, "Have you heard this? Did you see this?" And I was like, "Yes, I saw that." But some people who know people messaging me saying like, "I asked on this just for you," and there is no idea of anything like that right now, or. I've asked this person who would know, and they have heard nothing of that. So then you start like dialing it back, and you're like, well, maybe this was just some kind of a guess, or maybe some mixed up information, and you start wondering like, maybe it's not the case. So then I started training my brain to think that this is a bunk rumor, because when you really think about it, like we had Jonas on a couple months ago, and he could have been playing a coy role with us, saying like, because he basically, how he positioned himself was, I really hope they do make a Solo sequel. Like that was his actual tone. Like, in other words, like it's not in motion right now. He's like, I really hope they do it one day. And then you go to John Kasdan saying like, as far as I know, nothing is going on with Solo on Disney Plus because they have a full slate. And a theatrical movie is probably never going to happen. And we're like, all right, we get it. Theatrical movies out of the cards. We're focusing on Disney Plus. Make Solo 2 happen. It's all about Disney Plus. It makes sense. Everyone thinks that's a better vehicle for it. Then you get Alden Ehrenreich, and he's like, I've heard some stuff, and I would come back. I'd be interested depending on what the story is. And again, he could be playing coy too. But all these things are lining up that there's nothing actively being made right now. And then, of course, Ron Howard saying, like, I haven't heard that they're making a sequel, but I think he meant movie. So I think Ron Howard's a little like back here in Ron Howard world. And so, people took his comments as like, well, if he said it, then they're definitely not doing it. Ron Howard may not be involved in a Solo follow-up. He came in to help save the day and do the movie. Just because Ron Howard's not involved in a Solo doesn't mean they're not doing it. So I take that with whatever. And then, like I said, last but not least, though, other people, reach out to me, or I talk to some people who know people, and they say, I don't know anything about this. So I'm leaning towards this is not accurate, actually, which is a bit of a bummer. But I still think that stuff like this, and when it keeps surfacing, and there's, where there's smoke, there's fire, and this story, and this story, and this story, I think that actually may help the idea, because they get the finger on the pulse, and like fans are going absolutely bananas on this story. Maybe we should pursue this, or something of that nature. So I still feel like Alden and Jonas and whatever are going to come back. I just don't know how, but I think this particular story right now as it stands is not accurate. That's where I'm at, unfortunately. So make Solo 2 happen. Keep it going.
I don't know. I'm in between. Lacey, what do you think about the report?
I think it's tricky right now with rumors of what's happening and what's not. And I think that per John's usual spiel on the rumor and theory review, it's hard sometimes to believe things because they'll take one piece of something that's true and then add 7 other things that aren't true, or stretch something and then you want to believe it. And I think all 3 of us really wanted to believe that this was a thing. But at the same time, I feel like there is something going on with Solo, only because we have seen these little signs from Make Solo 2 Happen Day where no one really said anything, and then people keep talking about it. We're seeing all these articles pop up that like, oh, Solo should have done better. Like everything is so much about how Solo is a good movie and how people underestimated it, and how when it came to Disney Plus, everyone's like, oh, I wish I saw it in the movie theater. I regret not seeing it and stuff like that. So I think that when you see a rumor like this, like John said, it's always good because it means people are talking about it, but I don't think people should jump to it's happening. And I was very cautious to even, like John said, kind of talk about it, or I'm sure you guys all got tweets and stuff tagged and stuff. And my response is always like, okay, well, let's wait to see what's actually announced by a trade or Lucasfilm or Disney, because it just doesn't make sense to get excited about something until it's announced, especially nowadays. I mean, the rumors we've heard over the past 4 to 5 years, some of them are just so nuts that you're like, there's no way this is true. And then it happens. And then there are things that you're like, oh, this has to be happening. And then it doesn't. So I think there is some obvious hope for Make Solo 2 happen and a Solo series, with Alden saying things like he's heard things. He's talking about how he's thinking about Han Solo and bringing it into his new characters, like we talked about last week.
And that he would come back.
Yeah, and that he would come back. It's clearly on his mind, and he's not afraid to talk about it. I think Jonas, even though he stopped using the hashtag, it's okay, Jonas, we forgive you, he still talks about Solo all the time. He shows pictures of his kids with a Solo book and like all this other stuff. Like, he wants a series too. The Ron Howard stuff is interesting to me because the interview itself says that there's no sequel in the plans, but the quote is clearly him talking about a film. He's not talking about a series. He even goes on to like a sentence later to say, oh yeah, it's just an interesting film. So to me, that says he's been asked if there's a sequel. If there is one in the works, he's not a part of it. However, he believes in the film, but they're not doing a sequel film. And I feel like that's what I keep hearing is like, oh, there's no sequel film in the works. Okay, but there's this whole other thing over here that no one is saying no to. So that's good. It's really hard when, as a team, we've been rooting for this thing for almost 2 years now. Year and a half.
Like almost 2 years next month.
Yeah. So it's hard
Not
to
that
be...
I'm counting or anything.
it's tough to be behind something and, you know, put all this positive energy into something and create trending topics about it and videos and interviews and all these other things, to have people take it and kind of use it as a news story and or a piece of traffic for their sites or their content or whatever of, oh, hey, guess what? This is happening. Because I think it just lets everybody down that actually wants to see it happen. So I'm just throwing caution out there of, you know, what's the story? Like Boy Who Cried Wolf type thing. Like, don't automatically just go out there and say something's happening if you're not 100% accurate. That's my one concern.
And my last bit on this is, like, you check in with whoever reports it. And I happen to have had Conrad blocked. I'm not afraid to admit that, because I don't really like the guy, but you check in and he like retweeted his story. In other words, saying like, no, I believe in my story. And usually if someone is retreading, they're not going to put their story out there again. They're going to try to bury it. So I thought that was interesting. And then Corey, who's been like the scoop master now, Corey with Kessel Run Transmissions. He like quote tweeted that story saying like, it's definitely happening, Alden's back, and everyone like went bananas on that because he got the Bad Batch thing right. So I don't know what's going on, man. I don't know. It's interesting.
And he was recently the one breaking the news on the Lando series. So you think he says Lando, somebody else says Han, he'd be like, no, sorry, it's Lando.
That's a good point.
But he didn't. He said, yes, correct, also Han. You know,
I just don't want to be let down. I guess that's my reaction to this.
And I agree. And people were congratulating us, like our TRB Twitter account got like lit up, and people, congratulations, you guys did it, and like, and I just like, it's like I can't like be.
I want to celebrate. So. I want to have a big party. I'll get totally drunk. It'll be amazing. However,
I'll fly to Connecticut.
Until that happens,
we go to Manhattan. We do a big thing in Manhattan. We do our own red carpet.
Yeah. Until that happens, gold carpet. Though, naturally, I'm a little anxious.
Yeah.
I feel bad now because people in the comments have been like, you guys have been so negative, and here's the thing, and I'm like, guys.
No, I mean, we want it to happen, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you bring up a lot of really good points, Lacey, specifically that I think the way you can look at this sometimes is just, Sunday, none of this was happening.
Right.
Monday, it's all happening.
Right.
So, like, sometimes, comments, taken, for instance, from certain people have said, I don't know anything about that, or I haven't seen anything, on my end. Could just be, them trying to keep their jobs and not open up, too much information. They just say, I don't know anything, or just like, I'd love to do it, but who knows? But also just simply that any statement that was said yesterday could be null and void because today they just got the news that it is happening.
Right.
So you never know.
Maybe they forgot to check their inbox and there's the email at the top and they're like, oh, I just told this.
Also, James, there's one other thing. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I'm going to forget about this. I think it was Brian Cameron with Fantha Tracks. And he tweeted something about he thinks that it could likely be, and it could be them reshaping that Tatooine Mos Eisley movie that they were planning, because apparently that was something that was going to be in production, and they're taking all the stuff that they had created pre-production for that and reshaping it into this solo series. So there's so many, like, all these people who know people, and like, I don't know.
It's
go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that's another nugget that I forgot about that someone tossed in there too.
Yeah, you just want it to work.
And I'm probably gonna get the credit for this because I remember somebody was reporting that there were like 10 things in production right now at Lucasfilm. So
that was the Kessel Run Transmission guys. They said 9 series.
Yeah,
9.
So it's like, yeah. So I mean, there's a lot going on. This could absolutely be true that they are in production or working on it, and it hasn't made the rounds to some of these other people who are being asked as well. Like John Kasdan, for instance. He hasn't been brought in yet because they're working on it, but they haven't. They don't want to get to that point yet. We're not hiring writers for it yet. We're just like,
or they went with
ideas.
a different writer,
or or they just called Larry on the side. They're like, we don't want John, we want you, Larry. Going back in.
Yeah, and here's the thing about the report in the first place. I don't think there's anything in there particularly that said, I talked to someone or I have a source that says, yes, it is happening. It was more of a piece that was like, look at the tea leaves, everybody. It's everywhere. That this person said this person commented here. We've been hearing about this other thing. Put all the pieces together, guys. You got to see that it's happening. So it was very positive, pro make Solo 2 happen piece.
Yeah, right.
But I don't know particularly that there was anything in there. That's the only reason that we don't go screaming into the streets is because we see all those tea leaves too. That's why we're excited about it. But at the same time, it's that StarWars.com announcement.
Yeah.
It's that thing they got to tweet out, or it's that someone officially saying.
You need the Dan Brooks boom.
Yeah. Even
Dan
sometimes
Brooks.
you never know with, like a trade even saying like this is happening.
That was another thing. No trades ran with that either. So,
yeah.
But the other thing I'm thinking like, who's his source to make him think that those guys are coming back? Could it be he happens to have a source of someone in the idea room and it hasn't reached even pre-production yet, so the people who are involved with pre-production didn't hear it yet? It's just there. It's literally in the idea stages. But again, they know Alden wants to come back. He's publicly said it. Jonas obviously wants to come back. He's the only person who's going to play Chewie. Everybody loves him. He's a fan favorite. You got that 10-year gap there. Like, why wouldn't you do it? And it's just one of those things I keep banging my head against the wall about. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Like if
you guys want to
if Alden came out and said that was fun, but I'm moving on, like Paul de Boyega, then I'd be like, all right, pack it up, gang. We're all set here. But when he said I would come back, I'm like, throw the coal in the engine, baby. We're going full steam.
Yeah. If he did that, we'd all be like, all right, make Brave New World Season 2 happen.
Let's go, baby. Peacock, baby.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about The Mandalorian because, Giancarlo Esposito was recently talking to Deadline, and he actually had a lot to say specifically about the Dark Saber, right? And, a lot about its history and stuff. Here, I'll just read you this quote real quick. You'll see more of the Dark Saber. You'll get the explanation of this ancient weapon to the modern world, a collapsed world. Where did the saber come from, and how is it revived? It's a key in our second season, which will be back sooner than later. He went on more about the saber, and he also just talked about his, getting into the role of being a Moff again by studying Tarkin. Great article, great guy just in general. You know what I mean? I think we're all really happy that he also won a nomination for this for Outstanding Guest Actor as his role as Moff Gideon in The Mandalorian. So he put out a little video where he was just so happy, Moff giggling,
Moff giggling. Oh boy.
But Lacey, what did you think about the possibility of learning more about the Dark Saber and his character because of the connection to it?
He is hands down one of the best actors, I think, working on Star Wars right now. He is so pumped to be playing in this universe and to be a bad guy, which, again, we all know him as being a bad guy a lot, but he loves being Moff Gideon. He looks up ideas and looks at references and asks questions and really wants to become the character, and that's more than you could ask for any actor in a role, is he lives and breathes his character and wants to do the best he can do it seems like he's doing it an extra 10 steps for the fans specifically. He knows the fans will appreciate it, so he's going that extra mile to make the character awesome. also because he's just a really good actor. But yeah, I'm excited about the Dark Saber. I think we talked about the Dark Saber a couple of weeks ago, but it's probably the most interesting thing for me in season 2 that I like have a lot of questions, and I think we all do, of like how he got it, what does it mean, where, you know, who else is related to the situation of him having it. The thing that kind of stuck out to me though is that, didn't he say in his quote that the Dark Saber was like part of his history? Right? Is what he said in the quote. It's like part of his history and you find out more about him and his planet and where he came from.
Yeah.
About why he wants to restore a planet, you know. Yeah,
Right.
there, to me, when I read it, I immediately did get the vibe that maybe he is or was Mandalorian.
That's what
at
I
one
was
point.
thinking. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was wondering if I was the only person that thought that, and I didn't want to sound like an idiot. So, yeah, I thought that when I read that quote of him being Mandalorian, but I don't know. He just seems like a really... His character, I feel like, is going to make or break season 2. I think everything else is kind of solid. I think he, as usual, the villain is kind of going to make or break if season 2 is as good as season 1.
That's interesting. I have no...
What do you think, John?
I have zero nerves about him. So...
Oh, I don't have nerves. I'm just saying that his role / storyline, I think, is going to determine what happens.
I feel like what they do with Baby Yoda is going to make or break season 2 of The Mandalorian. Like
really?
Yeah, because I just feel like something is going to be evolved with him beyond what we know, and that's either going to really bother people, or I feel like that's going to be the thing. Whatever they do with Baby Yoda, I think is going to make or break Mando.
What if he goes away episode 1?
I mean, yeah, whatever. But I mean, I still think Mando's gonna be great. I don't think it's like.
Sure,
I just
sure.
mean that's gonna be the one thing that people are gonna be like, But yeah, I agree. But that quote about him saying, you know, here's the quote: "The saber is a key to Moff Gideon's past, which possibly has a lot to do with where he comes from and his desire to build a planet and bring it back together." That sounds like Mandalore, like 100%.
Yeah.
So
He's
it's
given so many details in these interviews. Disney's probably like,
I know.
But the question is, like, does he think that's such a deep cut that fans wouldn't know exactly what that is? Like, so is he thinking he's giving breadcrumbs, but he's smacking us in the face with the whole loaf? Just like, bang! Right over the head. You know what I mean? Like, here, batter up! Bing! Just bread flying everywhere.
It's fair. It's fair because we talked about this guy last week, and he would say a statement that was like really deep, and you're like, dang, he gets it. And then the next statement would be like, does he know Star Wars at all?
Yeah, right.
So it was like kind of back and forth. I could see this being, you know, both. I could see it both ways. I do think he is talking about Mandalore. I do think he alludes to the fact that he's Mandalorian, but I also think that even without knowing Star Wars, just within the show context itself, him giving that away, I mean, or him saying that, I think that's pretty obvious that he might be alluding to. I mean, okay, maybe not. Maybe the average person doesn't know that sword has to do with Mandalore at all.
Would there be anything more?
But we do, because we know of Rebels and Tar Vizsla and all that other stuff.
Would there be anything more samurai / Western than like the jilted outcast coming back to claim what's his, and like strolling back into town with his black hat on? He's like, I'm coming back for what's mine. I got screwed out of this or screwed out of that. Like, if he's a Mandalorian, that makes a lot of sense. The only
cowboy
thing,
in all black.
yeah, like, why does he know Din Djarin by name? Like, why does he know so much about that guy? Like, why would he be so vested in this guy who nobody really knew who he was?
He knew all three of them, though.
Fair,
to be fair.
But I think they were more known for, you know, she was a shock trooper with the rebellion, and, you know, she may have been known for that. Grief Karga is like, I'm Grief Karga, I run this whole bounty guild, and everyone knows who I am. Mandalorians, like, they just called him Mandalorian. I didn't know who this guy was. So that's interesting to me. But the thing again that makes me wonder, like, why is he so obsessed with the Baby Yoda thing? So that's really the thing that I think is Jon Favreau's little tool to confuse everybody. He can take Baby Yoda and literally shift it around in the story to just twist our brains in knots. Like, if you take Baby Yoda out of this, we can probably put the pieces of the puzzle together. But because he's right in the dead center of this thing, it just blows it all up, and we don't know what's going on. But Either way, this guy is just, he can do no wrong, can say no wrong. I feel like every time he does an interview, it's similar because it's these Zoom calls and he's very happy and he's fired up. And it's just like the cherry on his sundae that he got nominated for an Emmy. Not even just for this, for also Better Call Saul. Like he's like, I got 2 Emmys now, nominations.
Living
Like this
the life.
guy's having a hell of a pandemic. Better than most people. So good for him.
Yeah, I really loved these comments because it gave me the hope of Moff Gideon and his having a history with Mandalore that I really like, because the way he's phrasing it, it makes me think of the Mandalorians who've broken away from like maybe that exact allegiance of Mandalore.
Sure,
you know what I mean?
sure.
Death Watch is one, for instance. The Mandalorians, like they kind of took his side and kind of
Right.
turned against other Mandalorians. You also have like Gar Saxon, and who was Mandalorian but like pro Empire and sided with the Empire, and you had all those like Mandalorians in all white like stormtrooper style Mandalorians
And don't forget
with jetpack.
the
Well, they all have jetpacks, but-
Bo-Katan rumors that Katie Sackhoff's going to be in this show.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so like I like all that idea that there are these Mandalorians that sided with the Empire, and they, it's like, hey, I have the Dark Saber and I rule Mandalore. Give me the power or the access I need with the Empire to do what I need to do or whatever. I don't know. It's all so cool. I love it. And if nobody here is worried about Mandalorian season 2, but if anybody needs anything extra, this show just got nominated for 15 Emmys.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Including best drama series.
yeah, so
Which
like
is not
a
going to
lot.
win.
I mean,
lot.
it's
What do
still
you think
cool
will
to be
win?
nominated.
Yeah. The fact that it's called the drama series is kind of crazy.
Yeah. What do you have a vote for who's going to win?
If I'm a big fan of that show Succession, so I assume that's nominated. I haven't even checked.
I mean, Stranger Things is so.
I think it
season
is.
3 was so good.
Imagine they retcon.
Really? I think that's the one that most people like say get that out of there.
I love Stranger Things so much.
This obviously is not realistic at all. But imagine they somehow retcon Maul's death again, and he pops up in Mandalorian.
Oh gosh.
They're like, he didn't slice him completely. Okay, he's still yeah.
He comes back, but his legs are even higher.
Yeah, he has more robot. He's like RoboCop in that Joel Kinnaman reboot they did, where he's just like.
I mean,
just
we
his
did
face.
see the guy. We did see the guy get cut in half and fall down a pit and make it. His actual death was like,
Yeah,
I don't know, like knocked out, sort of.
Yeah, and now when
know what
Kenobi's
happened there.
ghost pops up, he's like, "Come on, will this guy die already? Jeez,
Yeah.
we're dead for 5 years."
Last thing, real quick, do you guys want to talk anything about the Tales from the Galaxy's Edge story, the VR experience, John?
I watched the video. I think it's cool. I don't have the Oculus or anything like that. I know it's pretty expensive, but people have said there's like different bootleg versions of it you can get or something. I don't know if
I
it's
might have to bring one home
compatible.
from work and we can do it.
Oh, all right,
John.
that's cool.
Oculus?
I would
Yeah.
like to check that out. Maybe we could do a video for the channel or something. But did I call it wrong? It's Oculus, right?
Yeah, it's Oculus. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I know you got Deborah Wilson, who was already in Jedi Fallen Order. She's from Mad TV fame, and then you have Bobby Moynihan, who is from SNL. So you got these like sketch comedy
And
people.
Resistance.
And yeah, he was in Resistance, right?
Both Star Wars alum.
Both Star Wars alum, both sketch comedy alum, back in here doing this. But what I thought was funny about the video is like I felt like Bobby Moynihan is like him and Seth Rogen are blending into the same person for me. They're both growing more and more facial hair. They're both way more relaxed in how they're speaking, and they're both
Yeah.
becoming like if they did a buddy cop movie and it was Bobby Moynihan and Seth Rogen, I would 100% believe that rumor if they were like they're making this movie and these two guys are together. But then you flip around and you go to Deborah Wilson, and she is talking like she's in character. She's like so
I love it.
on what she's
Yes.
talking about. So I thought that was pretty cool. But I think this will be an interesting thing. It's just I can't get excited for stuff like this when I know in my brain there's like a 90% chance I'm never going to be able to do it. If I knew, like, I'm going to have an Oculus and try this thing, I'll be more excited about it.
You're going to have one and you can do it.
I am?
Yeah, I can get one.
Well, use one, yeah.
All right, then I'll be more excited to try it out. Yeah.
Well, Lacey, what do you think about the fact that it takes place between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker? Are you interested at all, like, in the story?
So that really stuck out to me in that first part where they said that, because as we know, there's a big kind of gap content-wise where you're like, well, we know a couple things happen here, but what really happened here? I think it's cool. The only thing is, obviously, it doesn't have Rey or Kylo in it, right? It doesn't really have any of our characters in it.
We don't know.
Yeah.
They said that certain iconic Star Wars characters are going to show up. And we do know that at Galaxy's Edge at this time, Leia is likely there because the Tantive 4 is there. Poe might be there because Black One is there. We know that Rey and Chewbacca are both there because they come out and talk to people. So
what I do
there.
like
and
about
Hondo,
yeah,
well.
so what
he's iconic.
So what I do like about that is that right now, currently with Galaxy's Edge, there's a lot of pieces, but there isn't the story of why those pieces exist. Like, why are these ships here? Why is this thing here? And you could read about it and you can go and experience, which unfortunately I haven't been yet. I was planning to go, and hey, 2020. So there's like all these different pieces, and unless you're there, you can't really experience it, and you can't really put all these pieces together. Whereas this one piece of content, you can do all of those things and also be there. Because I feel like originally when they pitched Galaxy's Edge as the theme park at D23, when it was 2017 when they started talking about it, and they showed the whole park and they talked about what the different parts were and how you'd be part of the story and all these other things. From what I see when you're there, and again, I haven't been there, you're not really part of the story. There's things going on around you, but you're not in a story, which was what the original plan was that they then cut. This allows you to do that. But my question is that really experiencing it rather than being in the park and experiencing it? Probably not.
Yeah.
But I love the idea of being able to jump into Star Wars from anywhere, and it allows it that anyone can do it. Obviously, there's a little bit of a price tag on that, but the hope is that
it's still going to be on YouTube and other things like that too.
I just like the idea that they're continuing to grow the story of Galaxy's Edge, make more content, create new characters, and then we could just learn more about the time period of Star Wars outside of the movies.
I would laugh if, like, the very end of the virtual reality experience is like a cliffhanger. Be like, find out what happens by buying this 5-day pass to the Galactic Cruiser Hotel. Come on down to Disney World. Insert your credit card now. It's like,
Yeah, I just my thoughts on this quick because we're up on time, but like
quickly.
Actually, I don't know. I think it's like this year. It's somewhat soon.
I have to plan accordingly.
I like the idea of being able to explore stuff that's outside of the park. So there's going to be ways to get to other areas of Galaxy's Edge. So even though I've been there, I can walk through it and then also go to other parts too.
Cool.
That's neat. I don't think the story is going to be anything substantial to the bigger story. Even though the books and stuff aren't really either, I feel like this is even minor, really, really minor, almost like a children's book kind of side story. The thing I thought that was weird about this video is the fact that it was filmed like at home, like the production value was gone. They just had to use a lot of like
Zoom.
Zoom stuff. And Bobby Moynihan, just like the way he delivers all of his lines, like it was so funny because he'd be like, yeah, we're going to have a lot of different things like stories of like dipping cookies in milk. And then it'd cut to him be like, yeah, one time I dipped some cookies in my milk. Like he'd do this, like turn to the camera like every time. Like he thinks what he just said was the funniest thing.
yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah, I'm interested in it. I'll probably check it out when it hits the old YouTube or something. So it is what it is. Hey, Lacey, let's get to the, that's it for the Resistance Report. Let's get to the Patreon pod race.
All right, guys, it's time for the Patreon pod race. So there are a lot of ways you can support us. You can like, comment, subscribe on this video, follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all different types of podcast apps. You can follow us on Twitter at RBATSWNN. Or if you want more content, you can head over to patreon.com/resistance broadcast. Starting at $2 a month, you can get extra mini episodes from us, polls, mailings, Discord chats, and much more. So first, I want to kick this off by thanking our generals of the resistance, our top tier, which would be thank you to Carmelo, Andrew Staley, Jeremy Myers, Neil Shaw, David Probus, John Reese, Micah Harrison, Jetta Rosewater, Michael Gaines, Bethany, Russ Harbison, and Kendall Gelnar. Thank you guys for your support. This week, the point of this segment, which I haven't gotten to yet, is that we allow them to be a part of the show, as in the generals. We ask them a question, they give us their answer, and we talk about it a little bit. So this week, we're heading over to España, to General MELO. And his question was, breweries are all the rage as of late. Well, kind of. If you created a Star Wars themed brewery, what would you call it? What would the theme be? And what would the name of your beers? What would you name your beers? One of your beers. Slaughtered that. One of your beers. MELO, take it away.
Hello guys, and greetings from España. I feel targeted by this question, but I'm so happy to answer. If I had a Star Wars bar, what would I call it? Well, a brewery. First, I had two names. The first one will be Bière de la Resistance, or my favorite is Cardiff Bill. Being from Florida, I had to pay my honors to Margaritaville. I actually wish that I could send this video next week, because my next creation will be ready to go, which is a passion fruit mango wheat beer. But I'll tell you guys next week how it went. Well, that's all I have. Ooh, one more thing. We'll be serving pork. We'll find it and we'll serve it. That's all I have. Viva la Resistance.
All right, MELO. First of all, how dare you roast porgs in your brewery? I will not stand for this. John, what did you think?
Well, first off, I loved when MELO, he did this when he first got to Spain, and he just did it again recently, where he goes to the beach and he writes TRB in the sands. So I feel like I go to Spain in that way, because I've never been. So I think that's so cool. And then we retweet it and we look cool because he did it. So thanks, MELO, for that.
Take a video so we can put meditating, nice casual music underneath it. Yeah.
Or put a message in the bottle that just says TRB or something and throw it in the ocean and see who gets it. Like someone's on an island. They're like
RBATSWNN.
Yeah, TRB. What does it mean? But Bière de la Resistance I like. I think that's cool. You look like you're really chilling, man. We're in the shades. You're outside. Actually did it during the day this time, so good for you.
Not whispering, they're being like, "Hey guys."
Right. Hey, it's MELO. Viva la Resistance.
The kids are asleep.
No, but MELO, you're the man. I knew you've been brewing your own beer, so I wanted to pitch this to you, and I liked your ideas. And roast pork, sign me up. I'll eat some of that.
He has a passion fruit one coming up next week.
Yeah, right. And me and Jonas, we'll get together and eat some pork, hopefully with you one day. But I think you are our longest running general. So as always, thank you for all of your support. I hope you and your family are doing well over there in Spain. I hope you guys are doing better than some of our regions are doing over here in the U.S. with this pandemic thing. But thanks again for all your support, and I hope to see you sooner than later. And you're the man. Thanks, buddy.
James?
Not much to add to that. I always love a good pun. So, that was fun to hear. I love those. And I don't know. Love the shirt. Love the glasses. Love everything about you, MELO. Keep it up. Thank you for all the support. You're awesome, man.
All right. Thanks, MELO. We appreciate your support. Now we're going to head to Lacey for Resistance Transmissions.
You know, that would be so...
Thanks, Lacey.
Oh, God.
It's time for Resistance Transmissions. All right.
Thanks, R2.
All right. Guys, the way this works is every week on Twitter at RBATSWNN, John puts up a crazy, wacky situation, and you guys give your answers. And I've never read the the scenario. My brain is still not turned on. And I don't know what's going on. Anyway, so I'm going to read it live. All right. So the scenario is there are rumors Han and Chewie are coming back on Disney Plus, but that's not good enough for Han. So he and Chewie are heading to Lucasfilm to pitch his return. What does Han say to Disney/Lucasfilm to convince them to bring him back? # make Solo 2 happen. First up is Adam Odell, at Odell Adam, who says, Han, leaning in closer, let us have it. It's not wise to upset a Wookiee. Kathleen, which I'm assuming is Kathleen Kennedy. But no one worries about upsetting an actor. Han, that's because an actor don't pull people's arms out of their sockets when they lose. Wookiees are known to do that. Kathleen, make Solo 2 happen.
That's good.
That is good.
Got it.
All right. Up next is Mark at the Kind of Vacants. And Mark says, Han, listen, if you don't make Solo 2 happen, we're going to have to start a # campaign. What did you want to call it, Chewie? Chewie. Han, what? All right. Well, we're going to need a better one because I ain't saying that every time.
Nice.
I love that. That's good.
Yeah. Next up is Trevor at Spin Up the FTL, and he said all he needs to do is, and it's a picture of Han doing
The shrug.
yeah.
Yeah. Oop.
Next up is Danny at Chibigon89, and Danny said, listen, I'm putting together a crew. No, I'm telling you, it's going to be great. When have I steered you wrong?
Nice.
Like it.
Next up is at Ion Cannon, and they said, Bob Iger, good to see you. Your name is old, Solo. There's no one in Hollywood you haven't swindled. Boys, you're both going to get what I promised you. Have I ever not delivered to you before? Twice. What was the second time?
Nice.
Next up is Stephen Patrick Helm at Steve O Says Stuff. And he said, Han, look, Disney, I'll earn you triple. You're throwing away a fortune here. Don't be a fool. # make Solo 2 happen.
Nice.
Nice.
That is a good one.
Next is Matt Chitty at Matt F. Chitty. And Matt said, Han, so Chewie here tells me you're looking for solo ideas, for show ideas. Bob Iger, yes, indeed, if it's a fast pitch. Han, fast pitch? Haven't you been using the volume? It's the technology that switches sets in 1800 seconds. Bob Iger, I'm in. Han, you've been looking in Alderaan places.
I like
that?
if it's a fast pitch. I like that.
Is it a fast pitch?
And then last but not least is Star Wars Toy Stories at SW Toy Stories, who said,
What's up, Brandon?
hey, it's me, smirk face.
Nice.
Hey, it's me.
Love it.
Guys, thank you
Good
so
one.
much. If you want to be on the show, make sure to follow us on Twitter at RBATSWNN, and you can make it on the show. Just look for the scenario. Back to you, John.
Thank you all for joining us here in the Resistance base, being a part of the Resistance. Make sure you do subscribe to us because we have 2 episodes a week. So Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, wherever you get your podcast, subscribe to us and spread the word. Tell a friend. Share it with a friend. That's how we grow. Appreciate that. Make sure you go to StarWarsNewsNet.com for all of your Star Wars news. Teespring.com/stores/Resistance Broadcast for all of our swag. None of us are wearing any of it today, but it's there, I promise you.
Laundry day is a very dangerous day.
You guys can find me on Twitter at Johnny Hoey and writing and editing at Star Wars Newsnet. James?
Twitter and Instagram at Lacey Gillerin.
And Lacey.
Twitter and Instagram at Lazy Gillerin.
All right. And that will do it for us here. We will be back on Thursday where we'll be joined by a special guest. Actor, director, YouTuber extraordinaire, lifelong Star Wars fan, Stephen Ford will be joining us. So look forward to chatting with him. And he's a big Solo fan. So a little hint for you on what we may be talking about. But until then, enjoy your week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you on the Resistance broadcast Thursday morning. We'll see you around, kids.